The man wasn't shopping, he was watching. Officer Rick Massey spotted him from across the Summit Creek Market. Tall, built solid, standing by the refrigerated aisle with a stillness that didn't belong. He had no cart, no basket, just eyes that scanned the other customers. Too calm, Massey thought, a familiar irritation tightening in his gut. Thinks the rules don't apply to him. The man's gaze swept the store, and for a split second, it met Massey's. There was no fear in those eyes, no guilt, just a flicker of acknowledgement before they returned to the yogurts. That was all the invitation Massey needed. The guy's composure felt like a personal insult. Massey altered his course, his boots making deliberate, heavy sounds on the cheap linoleum. He puffed his chest out, closing the distance until he was invading the man's space, stopping uncomfortably close by the butter. "You got a reason for loitering," Massey started, skipping any friendly greeting. "Or are you just admiring the dairy selection?" The man looked up from a phone, his expression unbothered. He wasn't annoyed or intimidated. He was simply analyzing a new piece on the board. "I'm not," he replied, his voice a low, steady baritone. Massey's jaw clenched. He hated that tone, short, clipped, and far too confident. "I've been watching you," he pressed, his voice rising slightly. "No cart, no basket, just staring. So which is it? Are you window shopping, or are you planning on making an unauthorized withdrawal?"
Thank you.
The man's eyebrow arched, a flicker of something that looked like disappointment. He pocketed his phone. "Officer, you need to lower your voice," he said, quiet but firm. "You're interfering with my work." "Interfering with what?" Massey shot back, relishing the way a few shoppers turned to look. "You're not store security. I don't see a uniform. And I sure as hell am not law enforcement. So stop lying to me." His voice had a sharp edge now, a tool he used to command a scene. Near the entrance, an employee stacking fruit slowed her work. A manager behind the service desk watched them, his posture tense. The man kept his hands perfectly still and visible. That infuriating calm never broke. "My name is Elias Cole," he stated. "I'm a special agent with the FBI. My credentials are in my back pocket, and frankly, you're not who I'm here to see." A hot surge of satisfaction hit Massey. Jackpot. He let out a short, ugly laugh. "An FBI agent? Well, let's see the tin," he commanded, his hand casually drifting down to rest on his own duty belt. Cole moved with an insulting slowness, telegraphing every motion. He reached into his pocket, produced a leather badge holder, and flipped it open. Massey gave the gold shield a dismissive flick of his eyes before waving it away. "Cute," Massey sneered. "Get that off the internet? You're going to have to do a lot better than that, friend." Cole's eyes locked onto his. The calm was still there, but now it felt like polished steel. "You need to step away," Cole said, his voice dropping. "You are actively obstructing a federal surveillance operation. You're about to compromise a 6-month investigation." Massey scoffed. "Then you should have done your homework and notified local PD that you'd have a man acting suspiciously in the yogurt aisle. That failure is on you." He could feel the stares now, and across the aisle a woman was holding her phone up. She was recording. "I have no obligation to notify you," Cole replied, his tone like ice. "This is a federal matter. Stand down." The public challenge, the man's unyielding confidence, it was a lit match on Massey's short fuse. He knew he was losing control of the encounter, so he did what he always did. He doubled down. "You give me a number I can call for verification, or I'm detaining you for impersonating a federal officer. Right here, right now." But before Cole could answer, a new figure stepped into the aisle. A woman shorter than Cole, with sharp, intelligent eyes. Her plain clothes drew no attention, but her arrival felt like a splash of ice water. Agent Anya Sharma didn't waste a second. She moved between the two men with the quiet confidence of someone who navigated far more dangerous situations for a living. Massey blinked, thrown off balance. Where did she come from? Sharma's voice was quiet but cut like a razor. "Officer, you are interfering with a federal operation. Take 3 steps back. Immediately." She held up her own badge, open at chest level so he couldn't miss it. "Special Agent Sharma, I'm Agent Cole's partner. Thanks to you, our surveillance is now blown." Massey forced another laugh, though it sounded strained even to his own ears. "2 of you? No heads up to Brighton County? No suspect in sight? And you expect me to believe you're here serving justice in the dairy aisle? No, officer, Sharma said, her eyes drilling into him. We expect you to demonstrate the most basic level of professional courtesy. Or is that too much to ask? The jab landed, sharp and clean. Massey ignored the sting, pointing a thumb at Cole in a last-ditch effort to justify his actions. He was acting suspiciously. No basket, no list, just watching people. I made a call based on observable behavior. Agent Sharma's response was instant and merciless. Is that your standard procedure, officer? Or is your observable behavior protocol reserved for black men you find in the dairy aisle? That silenced him. The air went out of his lungs. From behind a nearby soda display, a teenager filming the scene let out a sharp laugh. Massey's eyes darted around, and for the first time he truly saw it. A quiet, solid wall of smartphones, all pointed directly at him. They weren't just watching anymore. They were documenting. We are tracking the key distributor for an illegal arms network, Sharma said, her voice dropping into a register of cold fury. Anton Volkov. He was scheduled to make a handoff right here, in this aisle. Now, because of your performance, he's gone. A hot flush crawled up the back of Massey's neck. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not in front of an audience. From somewhere behind him, a man's voice rumbled, just loud enough for everyone to hear. Cop just couldn't handle seeing a black man stand his ground. Massey whipped his head around, searching for the source. But every shopper was suddenly fascinated by a cereal box or a price tag. The crowd had already reached its verdict. He turned back to the agents, his jaw so tight it ached. I want your names and your badge numbers. I'm filing a formal complaint. You do that, Cole replied, his expression unreadable. We'll be filing one of our own. It will be exceptionally detailed. The officer's bravado finally cracked, the reality of the situation crashing down on him. The target was gone, the mission was blown, and it was his fault. His hand, which had been resting on his belt, fell limply to his side. His pride was in tatters. Let's be honest here, he stammered, trying to salvage some dignity. You two appear out of nowhere, no coordination, and expect me to what? Just ignore my training? You're saying I'm the problem? It was Cole who answered, his voice calm and dissecting. You became the problem when you chose accusation over inquiry. You didn't approach to assess a situation, officer. You came in hot, spoiling for a confrontation. That's called proactive policing, Massey snapped. No, Agent Sharma interjected, crossing her arms. That's called dereliction of duty, fueled by ego. And in this context, it's obstruction of a federal investigation. The nearby shoppers were now openly staring, their grocery baskets forgotten. Massey's public humiliation was complete. He fumbled for his notepad in a desperate move to reclaim authority. Name again? He demanded, his eyes on Cole. Special Agent Elias Cole, Northwood Field Office, Cole said evenly. And you'll need my supervisor's name, Deputy Director Sterling. Massey scribbled, refusing to look up. And you? Special Agent Anya Sharma, she said. I'd recommend you spell those names correctly. The official inquiry will demand accuracy. The word inquiry made Massey's head snap up. Is that a threat? No, Sharma said, her gaze flicking to the half-dozen phones still aimed their way. It's a statement of fact. You made a choice, and you have a dozen witnesses. Cell phone footage tends to be very objective. Cole took a half step forward. We were tracking Anton Volkov, officer. They call him the Ghost. He moves modified, untraceable assault rifles across 3 states. Today, after 6 months of work, we had him. We were 5 minutes away from taking him down. Massey opened his mouth, but no words came out. The fight completely drained from his body, replaced by a wave of sickening horror. We kept this operation quiet because that's how you catch a man like Volkov, Cole continued, his voice low and intense. When a beat cop barges in and treats a federal agent like a street thug, he doesn't just embarrass himself, he puts military-grade weapons back in the hands of criminals. From the end of the aisle, a young man with a box of cereal muttered to his friend, "Damn, he got owned right next to the organic milk." A nervous laugh followed. Massey's ears burned. His shoulders slumped in defeat. "I'm done here," he mumbled, turning sharply and walking toward the exit without another word. As he retreated, Sharma spoke into her wrist. "Command, this is Apex 2. The scene is compromised. The package is in the wind." A voice crackled in her earpiece. Copy, Apex 2. Visual confirms target exited the north doors. Vehicle is gone. Sharma swore under her breath. Cole's jaw was a knot of granite. All that work evaporated in less than a minute because of one cop's bruised ego. Get me a direct line to Sterling, Cole said, his voice tight with controlled rage. This is not getting buried. She's already waiting for the call, Sharma confirmed. Just then, a young woman in a store security polo shirt approached them. Agents? She asked hesitantly, holding out a small flash drive. I'm Maya, the store supervisor. I was watching the security feed. Your target, he was at checkout lane 9. He bolted the second the officer started yelling. I saved all the footage for you. Agent Sharma took the drive, a flicker of genuine gratitude in her eyes. Thank you, Maya. This is very helpful. As the security supervisor hurried away, Sharma gave Cole a pointed look. See? Some people actually know how to do their jobs. They walked in silence to their unmarked Ford Explorer, the weight of the blown operation, a physical presence between them. Inside the quiet, tinted vehicle, Cole broke the silence, his gaze fixed on the storefront. I saw it in his eyes the moment he started walking over, he murmured, almost to himself. His mind was already made up. He wasn't there to ask a question, he was there to prove a point. The metallic taste of failure filled the car. On the tablet mounted to the dash, Sharma played the security footage. The target, Anton Volkov, was a ghost in a hoodie, head down. He was already moving toward the doors before the confrontation in the dairy aisle had even started. Check the timestamp, Sharma said, her voice flat. Volkov saw the uniform the second Massey came in. He didn't even glance at us. He saw a cop on a power trip, knew the location was compromised, and was gone before Massey asked his first stupid question. Cole's jaw was stone. 6 months, hundreds of hours hunting a phantom across state lines, all for this one perfect trap, torn apart in 60 seconds by one officer's bad gut. The worst part is, Cole said, his voice a low growl, Massey will never even remember what Volkov looked like. He was so focused on me, the actual danger became invisible to him. The dashboard display chimed, and the crisp, professional voice of their supervisor filled the car. It was Deputy Director Sterling, and she was all business. Report. The target is gone, Director, Sharma confirmed. Compromised by an officer with the Brighton County Sheriff's Department. The officer was needlessly confrontational and escalated without cause. Name? Sterling's voice was like cracking ice. Officer Rick Massey. We have his badge number and video of the entire encounter. Excellent, Sterling said. I'm calling the Brighton County Sheriff myself. Tonight, my office will take it from here. Return to base. The line went dead. No sympathies. None were expected. A tense silence returned, finally broken by Cole. Let me ask you, Sharma, he said, his eyes on the market but seeing something else. If I was some white guy in a golf shirt looking at the yogurts, you think he ever would have walked over? Sharma considered it for a moment. I think, she said, her voice firm, that he wasn't looking for a crime to solve. He was looking for a problem to start, and he decided you were it. As if summoned by the words, they saw him. Officer Massey was walking back toward their vehicle. His swagger was gone, replaced by a hesitant, shuffling gait. He stopped a few feet away, unable to meet their eyes. Listen, he began, his voice thin and weak. I didn't realize. I've been on the force 7 years. I have to make calls based on what I see. He was cut off. A black Brighton County Sheriff's SUV, its light bar dark, rolled silently into the parking lot and boxed them in. A man in a captain's uniform stepped out, his face a mask of cold, controlled fury. Massey! Captain Grant's voice was a whip crack in the quiet lot. Massey flinched like he'd been shot, the blood draining from his face. The captain ignored the federal agents, striding until he was inches from his subordinate. I just received a call from a deputy director at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He seethed, his voice trembling with rage. She seemed to be under the impression that one of my officers single-handedly torched a 6-month, multi-state arms trafficking investigation. Tell me she was wrong. Massey's mouth opened and closed, a fish gasping for air. A choked, pathetic nod was his only answer. Unbuckle your duty belt, the captain commanded, his voice deadly quiet. Place it on the hood of my car. Do it now. A wave of raw, unfiltered humiliation washed over Massey's face. Under the stoic gaze of the two agents he had harassed, his trembling fingers fumbled with the buckle. He unfastened the heavy belt holding his pistol in gear and laid it on the hood of the cruiser, a defeated soldier surrendering his sword. "You are on administrative leave, effective this second," Captain Grant stated, his voice dripping with contempt. "You will go home, you will not speak to anyone, and you will wait. You will wait while my office, in direct consultation with the U.S. Attorney's Office, determines whether you have a future in law enforcement or if you're facing a federal indictment for obstruction of justice. Do I make myself clear?" "Yes, sir," Massey whispered, his voice, his authority, his career, all of it utterly broken.